You think you're not attractive because nobody announces it to your face, because you don't look like some polished fantasy, because you don't walk through life with women throwing themselves at you. But the truth is, real attractiveness is usually quiet, and the men who have it most often are the last ones to fully see it. You think attraction is something you either have or you don't. No. A lot of the time, you have it already, but you're too busy measuring yourself through insecurity to recognize the evidence. If you need reminders like this, subscribe now, because you do not need more vanity, more empty hype, or more internet noise. You need truth, you need correction, you need someone to remind you what actually matters when your mind starts lying to you and your self-respect starts negotiating with comparison. Here's what it really means to be a highly attractive man. It does not mean every woman wants you. It does not mean you are the loudest in the room. It does not mean you win some beauty contest in your head every morning. It means your presence carries weight. It means people feel something before they can fully explain it. It means your face, your body, your voice, your energy, your restraint, your standards, your direction, all combine into a signal that says this man is solid. That's the thesis. Not perfection. Signal, not performance. Presence. The misconception is that attraction is mostly about symmetry, height, money, status, or having some rehearsed social swagger. Yes, those things can influence first impressions. Of course they can. But that's surface. Surface gets attention, substance holds it. Surface gets looked at, substance gets remembered. And too many men live trapped in the shallowest definition of attractiveness, so they miss the deeper signs right in front of them. Hard truth. If you don't think you're attractive, your own insecurity will blind you to your impact. You'll explain away every sign. You'll call it coincidence. You'll call it friendliness. You'll call it luck. You'll call it anything except evidence, because accepting that you may actually carry value would force you to stop hiding behind self-doubt. And some of you are addicted to self-doubt because it protects you from responsibility. If you're not attractive, then you never have to step forward, never have to risk, never have to own your power. That's called psychological retreat. Why does this happen? Because a lot of men were taught to evaluate themselves like products: too short, too plain, too quiet, too serious, too average, too this, too that. So you start looking in the mirror like an enemy. You compare your rough draft to somebody else's highlight reel. You confuse not being universally desired with not being desirable at all. And then you walk through life leaking uncertainty, while evidence keeps tapping you on the shoulder and you keep pretending not to feel it. That cost is real. You play smaller, you hesitate longer, you overthink simple interactions, you talk yourself out of approaching, you talk yourself out of leading, you talk yourself out of believing what people are already responding to. You stop carrying yourself like a man with options. You stop speaking like a man whose words matter. You stop seeing what's working because you're obsessed with what isn't. You stop, you stop, you stop. So let's correct it. Let's get concrete. Let's talk about the signs. The first sign is that people notice you when you're not trying to be noticed. Read that carefully. Not when you're peacocking, not when you're forcing charisma, when you're just there. You catch women looking, then looking away. You enter a room and the energy shifts just a little. Conversations make space for you. People remember your face after brief encounters. Why? Because genuine attractiveness creates gravity. It does not always scream, sometimes it just pulls. If people repeatedly register your presence without you campaigning for it, that is a sign. Quiet attention is still attention. The second sign is that your calm gets mistaken for confidence, and sometimes even for mystery. Men who are truly attractive often think they are just reserved, focused, or normal. But what other people feel is steadiness. You are not scrambling for approval. You are not over-explaining yourself. You are not laughing too hard to prove you belong. You're just there, grounded, measured, and in a world full of nervous performance, calm stands out. Presence versus noise. Center versus chaos. That contrast is powerful. A man who does not need to force the room often becomes the room's point of reference. The third sign is that women give you opportunities to lead, even in small ways. They extend the conversation. They ask follow-up questions. They linger. They create openings. They make themselves easier to talk to. They laugh a little longer. They respond a little warmer. Sometimes they tease you. Sometimes they test your composure. Sometimes they go unusually soft around you. And if you miss that, it's usually because you're waiting for some ridiculous movie-level signal instead of reading normal human behavior. Attraction is rarely announced with fireworks. Most of the time, it arrives through invitations, subtle invitations, repeated invitations. If women keep handing you moments to step into, that is not random. The fourth sign is that other men react to you. This one matters. Attractive men do not only get attention from women, they also trigger comparison in weaker men. Sometimes it shows up as passive aggression, sometimes as dismissiveness, sometimes as weird competitiveness out of nowhere. You're not imagining it. Men assess each other constantly. If insecure men seem strangely bothered by your presence, your composure, your rapport with women, your physicality, your style, your restraint, that tells you something. It means you register. It means you carry social weight. That's called status pressure. The fifth sign is that people project confidence onto you even when you don't feel it internally. They assume you date a lot. They assume you know what you're doing. They assume you've got options. They assume you've heard compliments you've never actually heard. Why? Because attractiveness is not just your internal experience. It is the impression your whole being leaves on other people. You may still feel like the same uncertain man from 5 years ago, but the world may no longer be responding to you that way. Your self-image can be outdated, very outdated. The sixth sign is that your boundaries increase your appeal instead of reducing it. Weak men think being attractive means being agreeable, available, endlessly accommodating. No, one of the clearest signs of real attractiveness is that saying no does not make you disappear. It sharpens you. When you don't chase, when you don't overtext, when you don't throw yourself at every opportunity, when you walk away from disrespect without a speech, people feel it, especially women. Because boundaries signal self-respect, and self-respect is attractive in a way that desperate niceness never will be. A man who can withhold access without becoming bitter is a man with value. The seventh sign is that your style does not need to be loud to work. You may not dress like an influencer. You may not have some exaggerated image. But when you wear clothes that fit, move with purpose, keep yourself in shape, and carry yourself cleanly, people respond. Why? Because attractiveness is coherence. It is when your appearance, your posture, your tone, and your energy all tell the same story. You do not need to look expensive, you need to look intentional. There is a difference. One is display, the other is identity. The eighth sign is the strongest one of all. When you stop performing, your appeal gets stronger, not weaker. Think about that. Some men can only get attention by becoming louder, funnier, flashier, more artificial, but highly attractive men often discover something different. The more real they become, the more magnetic they become, the more they stop forcing, the more they stop auditioning, the more they stop twisting themselves into what they think people want. That's when the right eyes start locking in. Why? Because authenticity under discipline is rare. That's called congruence. And congruence is one of the most attractive qualities a man can possess. Now step back and look at the pattern. None of these signs are about arrogance. None of them require narcissism. None of them mean you should walk around imagining you are better than other people. This is not ego. This is recognition. There is a difference. Ego says, I need everyone to validate me. Recognition says, I can finally see what's already true. Ego performs. Recognition stabilizes. And here's the hard truth behind all of it. You may be more attractive than you think, but your lack of self-belief can still ruin your results. That is the tragedy. A man can have the face, the frame, the voice, the energy, the presence, the edge, the restraint, all of it, and still sabotage himself because he keeps acting like he is waiting for permission to exist fully. Women feel that split. They feel when a man has something but does not own it. They feel when he has presence but hides it behind apology. They feel when he has power but keeps kneeling inside. So what's the root cause? You are still seeing yourself through old wounds, through teenage comparison, through rejection that happened years ago, through the voice of people who underestimated you before you grew, through moments when you were overlooked, awkward, broke, soft, uncertain, unformed. But that version of you is not the final version of you. And if you keep obeying that old self image, you will sabotage the man standing in the mirror right now. That is why self perception matters. Not because you need delusion, because you need alignment. If the world is getting one version of you and your mind is living in another, there is friction, and friction becomes hesitation. Hesitation becomes missed chances. Missed chances become fake proof that you were never attractive to begin with. That loop destroys men. Break the loop. Now, let me show you the archetype. The attractive man is not necessarily the prettiest man. He is the man whose whole life says, I respect myself. He has direction. He has work to do. He trains not because he worships vanity, but because discipline sharpens him. He speaks clearly. He listens fully. He does not interrupt himself with self-deprecating nonsense every 5 seconds. He is not fishing for reassurance. He is not trying to be liked by everyone. He can laugh, but he does not clown himself for acceptance. He can desire women, but he does not become one more needy man bending around their moods. He has standards, he has pace, he has gravity. He walks like his body belongs to him. He looks people in the eye without pleading. He does not rush intimacy. He does not overshare for connection. He does not beg for access. He is warm, but he is not weak. Open, but not shapeless. Calm, but not passive. That man is attractive even before anybody calls him handsome. That is the man you build. So do this. Stop waiting for external proof to begin carrying yourself with internal certainty. Stop arguing with every positive signal. Stop dismissing women's interest because it did not arrive in the exact form your insecurity demanded. Stop speaking about yourself like a man who is half apologizing for being alive. Stop shrinking your voice. Stop hunching your body. Stop dressing like your life is on standby. Stop giving your attention to people who only notice you when you overextend. And start here. Clean up your presentation, train your body, fix your posture, slow your speech. Hold eye contact 1 second longer. Speak with plainness. Remove the nervous filler. If a woman shows interest, do not explain it away. Step into it. If she gives you an opening, take it. If she doesn't, stay composed. No collapse, no bitterness, no worship, just steady movement. Redirect your attention away from, am I attractive enough? And toward, am I living like a man who respects his own value? That is the better question. Because attractiveness is amplified by behavior. A strong face with weak energy gets wasted. A solid body with desperate behavior gets diluted. A good voice with approval-seeking words gets undermined. It all has to align. And if you're still doubting, remember this. Attractive men are not always the ones receiving the most obvious praise. Sometimes they're the ones women notice but feel shy around, the ones people remember without saying why, the ones who intimidate weaker men by doing nothing except standing there honestly, the ones who do not realize how much their restraint, seriousness, and self-control are part of the appeal. That may be you, but if it is, then own it responsibly, not with arrogance, with standards, not with vanity, with discipline, not with fantasy, with reality. Because the point is not to stare at yourself and become obsessed. The point is to stop underestimating yourself so badly that you keep betraying your own potential. The point is to see clearly enough that your behavior finally matches your actual value. You do not need to become fake confident. You need to become accurate. You do not need more validation. You need better perception. You do not need to chase attractiveness. You need to stop crushing it under insecurity. So the next time your mind tells you that you are forgettable, invisible, average, or less than, check the evidence. Do people notice you? Do women open doors for you socially? Do men react to you? Does your calm land as confidence? Do your boundaries create respect? Does your authenticity pull better than performance? Then stop lying to yourself. The signs are there. Your job now is simple. See them, accept them, build on them. Carry them with maturity. Let your appearance match your standards. Let your standards shape your behavior. Let your behavior confirm your identity, and then move through the world like a man who does not need to scream his worth because he finally knows it. You were never meant to beg life to tell you who you are. You were never meant to wait for strangers to approve your reflection. You were never meant to live beneath your own presence. You are not the man who needs permission to matter. You are the answer. If this gave you truth instead of empty hype, subscribe, because you need more of this kind of clarity when insecurity gets loud and your vision gets weak. Stay around voices that sharpen your standards, strengthen your self-respect, and remind you to read reality accurately. You belong around men who are done shrinking, done pretending, and done apologizing for their presence. If that's who you're becoming, then this is your place.